right, and now I'd like to welcome Zanaji.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Zanaji Artis, and I am a youth climate activist, and I'm also the co-founder of Zero Hour. Zero Hour is a youth, person of color-led climate justice organization with a goal of providing a platform for marginalized and frontline youth to tell their stories, as well as exposing the connections between climate change and different systems of oppression, including patriarchy, capitalism, colonialism, and racism. I'm here today to fight for clean air and clean water and a livable future on this planet, but I'm also here to show all of you that youth are fighting for our future. My generation will be the one that lives long enough to see the full force of the impacts of decisions made by adults in power right now. Yet many of us believe that we are limited in our ability to influence the government because of an inability to vote. I am here to show you that that isn't true. My first time voting was this September in the Rhode Island primary. However, this is just one of a number of actions that I've done to fight for climate justice and for a government that protects the people it is meant to serve instead of corporate interests. 3 weeks ago, I traveled to Lancaster, Pennsylvania with some of my fellow Sunrise Rhode Island organizers who are here today to volunteer for Jess King's first congressional campaign. Jess is a candidate who has signed the Sunrise No Fossil Fuel Money Pledge and will fight to stop the expansion of fossil fuel infrastructure in her district. Even in a solidly blue state like Rhode Island, volunteering is just as important as voting, especially in the primaries, because simply running as a candidate of the Democratic Party does not make the candidate a champion for climate justice.
No kidding.
Pennsylvania was my first time canvassing, but before that I organized with other youth from around the country for a whole year, planning the first ever zero-hour youth climate march in Washington, D.C. In addition to our main event in D.C., we coordinated with youth in New York City, Los Angeles, Seattle, and a number of other locations in the United States and abroad to organize sister marches in solidarity with our movement. 2 days before the march this past July, we gained over 100 participants to lobby the offices of over 45 senators on the Hill, with youth leading every meeting. Now we're planning an education campaign which includes approaching school boards about passing resolutions for sustainable energy use in schools and the addition of a climate justice curriculum for high school students. Volunteering, marching, petitioning, calling your representatives, lobbying, and educating others are all ways that you can get involved in politics in addition to voting. And that's what Zero Hour is trying to do to get people, especially youth, to understand. Zero Hour was founded under unlikely circumstances and chance meetings, but despite the fact that we are all separated by hundreds of miles, we came together with a goal of protecting our future. However, our work would not have been possible without the courage of the 21 youth plaintiffs who decided to sue the U.S. government. The basis of Zero Hour's platform was crafted through examination of the requirements of the Our Children's Trust lawsuit, because these requirements follow what scientists have been telling us for years is necessary to safeguard our future on this planet. As supporters of their cause, Zero Hour continues to organize in pursuit of the same goals, despite continued inaction by the government since the September 10, 2015 filing date. The government's inaction continues as I stand here speaking with all of you today. The temporary stay on the trial proceedings that were meant to be lifted today are still in place. Today, however, we are here to continue fighting by showing our support for the Juliana v. United States of America case. In reading the case, I was struck by the many similarities between the injustices the plaintiffs described witnessing in Oregon and the environmental justice fights happening right here in Providence. One of the major harms the plaintiffs discuss is how the government has continued exploiting fossil fuel energy despite knowing the harms. An excerpt from the filing reads, defendants have known of the unusually dangerous risks of harm to human life, liberty, and property that would be caused by continued fossil fuel burning. Instead, defendants willfully ignored this impending harm. By their exercise of sovereign authority over our country's atmosphere and fossil fuel resources, they permitted, encouraged, and otherwise enabled continued exploitation, production, and combustion of fossil fuels. And so by and through their aggregate actions and emissions, defendants deliberately allowed atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations to escalate to levels unprecedented in human history, resulting in a dangerous, destabilizing climate system for our country and these plaintiffs. In addition to this, the youth plaintiffs discussed the approval of a liquefied natural gas terminal in Coos Bay, Oregon, a project that is projected to be the largest source of CO2 emissions in Oregon, which will cause a substantial amount of harm for local residents. I am saddened and enraged by the fact that across the country, including in our own backyard in South Province, with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's recent approval of the liquefied natural gas facility, the profits of the fossil fuel industry are being prioritized over the health and well-being of residents, especially low-income communities of color. We as young people must come together and unite our fights against environmental racism and injustice everywhere. We as young people must unite to fight against the inequities that run throughout our society today, because everyone has a right to live without a fear of the damage to quality of life that continued fossil fuel burning is causing. We as a people must stand united against corporate interests, and we must hold elected officials who continue to back the fossil fuel industry accountable, because the people united against injustice can and will win this fight.